Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of No One's a Critic. I know it's been a little while since we've chatted with you all. Mostly my fault. I've been a terrible co-host and just delaying it because I'm working on a bunch of stuff. But super excited to be back with you, Matt, because these conversations are always amazing for me.
Ditto, sir.
Yeah, and we have a very this is a very special episode. We're recording it on a very special day. Do you want to let people know what's going on?
Yeah, I'm old as balls.
Yeah.
I turned 30 today.
Yes.
The big 30.
Yes. He's got liver spots everywhere, gray hair. He's a 30-year-old boomer. That's what he is.
I literally just made a joke on the channel, like, expect some, like, boomer tier takes. Like,
Yeah.
my next video essay, why are movie theaters so damn loud?
Yeah. He's gonna start telling all the kids to get off his lawn and you know no, but
Well,
no, it's good.
it's funny. My roommate, my ex roommate, actually, we were just talking about the other day. So the last couple theater experiences I've been to, there's this Landmark Century Theater in here in Chicago. It's a great theater because it's one of those theaters that actually shows the um the Oscar nominated shorts.
Yeah.
So, like, like during the Oscars they have the Oscar nominated shorts, and they're kind of hard to get like a hold of, like, to
Hmm.
actually see.
Yeah.
um but this theater actually shows them like all back to back, so you can like watch them all in like the span of an hour or so, which is really cool. But it's strange because when I was at that theater, I felt the volume of the film I saw. We saw Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh
Excellent
yeah.
film, by the way. And I thought the volume was a little bit low. But then they went to see Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness at AMC. And he said, and he's like younger than me. He's like only like 26, 27. And he was like, it was so fucking loud. And
Yeah.
it was mixed horribly too.
Yeah.
Like the talking scenes were really quiet, and then the action scenes were like, holy hell, bro, shit.
I wonder how much of that is the theater versus how much of that is the movie in and of itself. Because I heard in general a lot of people said um, uh, Multiverse of Madness was worse than. I'm gonna mess up the title of the other one. Everything, everywhere, all at once. Both kind of similar concepts, right? About like different dimensions, different realities, and stuff like that. But I've heard a lot of people like the other one better, which is very validating for me because we had that whole Marvel episode talking about people's desire to have something original versus just another. Here's Marvel's installation number 32.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like what we've talked about. That's sort of like the the downfall of Marvel, I think, or what's eventually going to happen is that you're going to have your dedicated fan base,
Hmm.
but it's very similar to sort of watching, it's sort of like jumping into a television show in the fifth season, where it's good for fans who have watched it, like,
Yeah.
who have kept with it. That's great, but trying to get new people into the fold is
Yeah.
very difficult. Now with television shows, people kind of expect that, but with like movies, I don't think people are kind of like, from what I've heard. Have you seen Multiverse of Madness?
No, I've not seen either of those movies yet.
Okay, so from what I've heard from Multiverse is that it's starting to get to the point where you kind of do need to have seen. I think people were like, you definitely need to have seen WandaVision,
Yeah.
and maybe a couple other
Yeah.
pieces of media. Whereas before I didn't. I mean, obviously, like Infinity War, Endgame, of course, like, the big ones. But for a standalone one to have had to seen, hey, if you haven't seen the Disney Plus show
Yeah.
of a completely different character, of a character who the main character of this movie isn't even in that show, it's like, uh, I'm like, for me personally, I'm
Yeah.
just like, maybe I'll see it, but I'm not going to be that invested in it.
Yeah, when it gets to the point of like required, viewing like homework basically to watch a movie, that's when you really start to you're gonna see again, like you said, dedicated fans. They'll always be like comic book nerds who are gonna watch every single thing superhero in this world. But a lot of, I think, casual people are like, I want something else. I want something original. I want something, that I can just go into and enjoy and can just stand on its own rather than just being a part of this huge, multimedia franchise. So, I mean, like I said, I don't think we're going to see the death of Marvel anytime soon, but I do think that people are gonna. I think this is a good sign for more original films. I know the Northman was pretty popular. A lot of people too. I saw you did a video. I haven't watched it yet. Talking about the Northman, but again, that's another kind of original movie. At least not a part of a huge franchise or anything.
Well, it's funny because I actually in the video, I personally liked the film. The final act, though, I think is a real letdown. However, what's very ironic is that the reason I don't like it is because it feels very conventional. The
Mm,
first the first like 2/3 of the film, I think, are it sort of sets up a very conventional story. You know, it's about a guy just he's trying to avenge his father and save his mother. It's a
mm,
very, if you've seen Hamlet, if you've seen, Lion
yeah.
King, you know the story. But as it goes on, it actually becomes more complicated and
Mm,
it becomes more subversive.
yeah.
Not like in your face, but like very subtly. It's very well done.
Mm,
Um, and then by come the final act, like you're kind of thrown for a loop. Like
yeah.
this like very clear cut narrative you thought it
Mm,
was is actually more complicated.
mm,
And then the final act kind of, at least for me, sort of reverts back to a very conventional Hollywood ending.
yeah.
And sure enough, if you read up on the the filmmaking process, the production, Robert Eggers, this was his first project with like a substantial budget.
Mm,
Like The Witch and Lighthouse had 4 and 11 million. This had, I think, like 65 million.
yeah.
And then I think it actually went up to 90, if I'm not
Mm,
mistaken. Um, and that clashing of sort of his very original brutal
yeah.
vision, because he's like very literary with his films. The
Yeah.
Witch, I remember people gave the witch shit because they couldn't understand what the characters were saying because they were speaking like old English, like
Yeah.
old like New England English.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good film. I would definitely recommend checking it out, but I have my problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think all these movies are going to have some problems, but and again, that movie in and of itself being like a semi historical, film, not historical necessarily in real fiction. I don't know about that, but just being like a period piece or whatever of the Viking Age. Not anything groundbreaking or new. We've seen a bunch of historical films like that. But just again, the fact that it's not Marvel number 32, not Star Wars, not whatever. I just think it's a good sign in general for just people's again appetite for more original content, which I think is always going to be a good thing if we can get new franchises out there because a lot of our existing franchises are drying up. They've worn their course, and if we don't get something new to replace them, it's just going to be an endless string of nostalgia bait and like, oh, we're bringing back Ghostbusters for the fifth time this time. Like, come on, guys, just make a new IP.
But now all the characters are bisexual.
Yeah.
Whoa, look out.
Whoa, we're so original right now. Real quick for the audience, we didn't necessarily have a topic going into this. I think more and more we want to rely on just just talking, just seeing where the conversation leads us. And so hopefully we'll have some kind of like thematic piece to tie this all together. But for now, you guys can enjoy our just rambling thoughts about whatever's going on in our lives.
Well,
But you
I
good?
was surprised just to kind of like latch it on. Like we're kind of talking about original films. I'm surprised if so you haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet.
Not yet.
Oh, you have to
Okay.
get on that, man. That is like it's a film where I'm trying to explain like why it's good. It's a very simple story,
Mm,
but it kind of owns it and it
yeah.
tells it in a very extravagant way.
Yeah.
It's simultaneously very original and sort of not avant-garde,
Yeah.
but sort of like very original and sort of,
Yeah.
not conventional.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it is like it's just like I don't want to say it was like a perfect movie,
Yeah.
but like for what it was trying to be, like
Yeah.
it was like so good.
Yeah. I
And
know I heard a lot of people say a lot of great things about it. Like I said, I was surprised to see that a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's much better than the Cap or Doctor Strange or whatever." So again, that was a great sign for me, and yeah, that's something I think I'll definitely go check out.
it's also one of the very few multiverse films that really sort of leans into
Hmm.
like the because for like a comparison's sake, one complaint I remember, and I actually completely agree with this, is Inception.
Hmm.
When Inception came out, I think it was A.O. Scott, who's like a generally, well known film critic. He was talking about how it was funny how a film that is all about like dreams and people's subconscious, it was very cold and technical. It was very
Hmm.
like it didn't really like, it's literally people's dreams. You can do anything. You
Yeah,
can have like an elephant on rollerblades. You can
yeah,
have, Gandhi smoking like a joint. Like
yeah,
you have everything at your disposal.
yeah,
Um but a lot of multiverse films, I feel like, or like sort of like alternate reality films, stuff like that, they don't really go that far. They still try to make it grounded in a
yeah.
way. Um
Well, that's not
whereas
surprising
everything
given what it's Nolan that made that, and Nolan was the
Yeah.
one who created the whole genre of hyper realism that we're just barely getting out of now. Like I said, that's the one thing I really didn't like about the Dark Knight's legacy was how every movie afterwards had to be like muted colors, has to be realistic, has to be everything has to be explained, and like that's just his style. And but you're right. I mean, we could do so much more than that, and I hope that it seems like we're getting out of that now. We can go to more of like that more imaginative style, and I think you're just explaining how this movie is kind of more like that.
Yeah, it for not the best comparison in terms of
Yeah,
tone, but like if you've seen do you watch Rick and Morty?
yeah.
It's very much like that in that it kind of has it feel uh a, it kind of has like that freedom of
Hmm.
just like we can just do like wild shit and
Yeah.
just like completely ridiculous shit.
Hmm.
But and yet it still ties it back together
Yeah.
into like a very coherent story. It's like it's incredibly well done. I really hope it gets like the Oscars with their Oscar bias with sci-fi and all that stuff. I would love to see this movie get a lot of noms. That would be awesome.
So what you're saying is you need a very high IQ to enjoy this movie. This is not for the the low IQ people.
Well, it's strange because me and my girlfriend both commented on this. While you're watching the movie, it doesn't hold your hand. It
Hmm.
actually does go very fast, and it does
Yeah.
like actually make you the viewer like, okay, like we have a lot of ground to cover. It's like it's a 2 hour and 20 minute movie, and it
Yeah.
moves like it like it's going.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like a very dense film.
Hmm.
Um, but by the end, it simultaneously doesn't hold your hand, but makes what is going on very coherent.
Yeah.
It makes it easy to understand. Like once it clicks, I think, and this is sort of to kind of go into like not film, um, or if you've seen Watchmen with like Doctor Manhattan. I think some people get tripped up on the idea of like what's the word, omnipotency.
Yeah.
Like how can you be in three different places at once
Hmm.
all experiencing it?
Yeah.
This film features that, and it does it in a way where you actually understand what is happening and what it
Hmm.
feels like.
Yeah.
The editing alone is like that itself should win an Oscar. It was like
Oh yeah.
they were cutting across like eight different like not timelines, but just eight different realities, and it
Yeah.
all made sense. And it was like, holy shit! It was fuck yeah! It was a
Yeah.
hella good movie.
Now, it's funny you brought up Rick and Morty too. Have you? Are you a fan of Community?
I never got into it. I've only heard good things.
Hmm.
And like of course the fan base was very dedicated. And I feel like I kind of would like the humor,
Yeah.
but I just never got into it for some reason.
I think you would dig it. It's very much like, I mean, it's Rick, Rick and Morty, same creator, very similar style, a lot of movie references, a lot of that kind of humor.
Hmm.
But you're talking about like a non-realistic tone, like just license to have fun and do whatever. Community was a real a live action show, a sitcom set in a community college, and they tried to do things like Rick and Morty does. They did like try to do stuff like alternate realities, you know, sci-fi stuff, you know, kind of out there stuff, but they were always, I think, constrained by the fact that this is a real these are real human people, not a cartoon. We're set in a community college, and so they would always have to like keep their foot on the brake a little bit. They'd be like, oh, we're gonna have a little bit of sci-fi alternate reality stuff, but you know, we gotta pull it back. It's just in someone's imagination. You know, it's just is it was it actually happening, or was it just, you know, like they couldn't go all the way like Rick and Morty could as a cartoon. I think that's one of the reasons why Rick and Morty was so much more successful than Community. Community has a cult following. I mean, I'm part of that. I absolutely love the show. I think it's fantastic. But you know, having that freedom and license to go all the way with an idea rather than having to keep it in the realm of realism, I think is why Rick and Morty succeeded. And again, I think it's great that we can kind of start to explore that more and more in filmmaking now. Now that we've kind of shaken off the Nolan influence, because you know you just have so much license to explore creative ideas, to explore different ways of telling your story, rather than, you know, it all just has to be a, you know, a muted, drab, you know, gray city that you know everything takes place in.
So yeah, so would you say, because that is a great point, and that's sort of like why I always really loved, um, like sort of like I don't really know what the term for it is, but almost like surrealistic
Mm-hmm.
animation.
Yeah.
Like the first sort of like obviously Rick and Morty, but what I was thinking of is like the first couple seasons of SpongeBob,
Mm.
where like, you know, there was a lot of like almost s- not really surrealistic, but
Yeah.
very just like absurdist humor. Like
Yeah.
you would cut from a character and you'd cut back to be wearing a different outfit. Like just kind
Yeah.
of like stuff like that that doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah.
But because it's like sort of like it's an animated show,
Mm-hmm.
it still works. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to
Does that have to make
it's still
sense?
like yeah, it's still like a coherent story. Like it's still like, you know, beginning, middle, and end. But in between they just do whatever they want. And I always loved that about shows like that, just kind of having that freedom. Even like South Park, Family Guy, even the
Yeah.
Simpsons to some extent. Like if you had an idea for a joke, you could just do it. You didn't have
Yeah.
to worry, "Oh, is this gag gonna make sense in the
Yeah.
reality of our show?" It's like, who cares? If it's funny, it's funny. If it lands, it lands. Just do it.
Have you seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force on
I
Adult
ha-
Swim?
I haven't. Well, technically I have, but I think I was so stoned out of my skull I don't
Okay,
really recall it. But
you should watch that show. It's one of my favorite cartoons of all time. Very much absurdist, surreal humor where, you know, things just happen. They don't make sense. You know, it'll just whatever's kind of funny in that moment. Random stuff will happen. Characters will say random things. But it does feel coherent. Like, you know, even though you're a lot of times like, what the fuck, what's going on here? Why does that make sense? I think it's again one of the best, you know, adult cartoons of all time. Um, I You know, another show that's kind of like that is going on right now that's pretty popular is Smiling Friends. That new show. I think it's on Adult Swim. It's from a YouTube it was a YouTuber who like kind of created it and got it onto Adult Swim. I watched an
oh,
episode. Yeah, you might have seen like a picture of it or
yeah,
something.
I know the two main characters. Yeah, I've seen them around a
Yeah,
couple times.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've
they're
watched one
funny.
episode of it. I'll admit it kind of was a little bit too absurd for me. I was like, it was so random that I was like, I couldn't. It was hard to follow what was going on a lot of the time. It might just been that one episode. Maybe I should give it another chance. But so I think you can go too far with it, or maybe just the humor might not land with you on certain things. But yeah, for me, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is like really the peak adult cartoon of all time. Like just so incredible.
Yeah, a lot of Adult Swim stuff was a lot of fun. I like
Oh
that. I
yeah.
mean, Eric Andre, like that,
Hmm.
always is good shit. Um, I I I always wrote it off, but there were a couple times when I actually like sat down and watched like some Robot Chicken episodes,
Oh,
and I
Robot
love
Chicken was
that.
great.
I love that shit.
The early days of Robot Chicken were, I mean, there were jokes that sucked, of course, but when it landed, Robot Chicken was fantastic. And, speaking of Robot Chicken, did you see that news about Seth Green, the guy who created Robot Chicken?
Mhm.
He uh, he was trying to create a show based off his NFT of he had a Bored Ape
Oh
NFT,
yeah. Oh
and it
god.
got stolen. And I here's what I really think that this is a bit. I'm almost sure he's doing some kind of bit, or this is just like hyping up the NFT or something. Like it's some kind of like scam or something. Because, um, like I don't know if you know anything about NFTs, and I'm not an expert or anything like that, but I know enough to know that like an NFT does not give you intellectual property of the image. That's what a lot of people think. It's not true. All you own is the code that image represents. You don't own the intellectual property of it.
From my understanding, it's just, I mean, like, people have like tried, like, I have literally had like 5 different people, like very intelligent people,
Yeah,
explain to me what NFTs are, and me being stupid, like,
yeah,
I just don't, I kind of don't understand it. I do kind of get a feeling that it's all just one big um pump and dump scheme,
yeah.
like for crypto bros who think that
Yeah.
like, I'm getting it on the ground floor, man. Like, no, you're not. Like,
No, it's
no,
like
you're
most
not.
of them are scams. What I mean, I don't. Again, I'm not an expert either. How it's been explained to me is, imagine it's like I sold you a receipt, like a grocery, like my grocery receipt, and it said like eggs, milk, cheese, whatever, and you show it to your friends and say, "Hey, look what I bought," and they're like, "Oh, you bought milk, egg, and cheese," and you're like, "No, I bought the receipt of this." So this combination of items on this receipt here is mine. I own this item, but I don't own anything in real life. Like I don't own those things on it, and that's what the images of the bored ape are. But you don't own the bored ape. You own the numbers that this board ape represents for this specific chain. um but anyway, the reason why I thought it was like some kind of scam on Seth Green's part was, again, because he, like, maybe he owned the IP, like he bought it separately or something, but you can't steal like someone's like intellectual property ownership like through a phishing scam, right? There's contracts, he'd have to sign it away. So and I don't think he's stupid enough to like actually believe that he owned the IP when he didn't. Like he's got lawyers, right? He's a show creator. He's got people who advise him. So this must either be some kind of very elaborate bit that he's pulling, or again, maybe he's trying to like pump up the value of the NFT because he's like, oh, it's stolen, and now everyone wants to buy it or something. But
That's kind of what it sounds like to me. Kind of like
I yeah, I
maybe
don't
gain interest on something, and then
yeah, I really don't know. And again, I don't really fuck with any of this like crypto. Definitely not NFT. I don't fuck with any of that. I mean, I own a little bit of like I think like Doggy Coin or Shiba Coin or one of those, but just as like I was like, oh, okay, I'll buy a little bit of it here, like just as a joke.
just to see
Yeah,
what happens
yeah.
with it.
I'm not trading it. I'm just like, maybe it'll be worth $1 million one day, but yeah, I don't fuck with any of that kind of stuff.
Well, so it's hard too because like it's getting to the point with like all this crypto shit, and you never know. Like for example, on YouTube, there's like Gary V, that
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
yeah, shit like that. And then like you like I didn't realize this until I kind of, it actually has nothing to do with like being on YouTube at all,
yeah,
but just me sort of like being naive to it. I didn't realize how much a lot of like the drama between these YouTubers is
yeah.
all just like fabricated. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
they're friends. Like they text each other like, "Hey, say some shit about me," and
yeah,
then we
yeah.
can cause it. And they all know each other. Like
Oh yeah,
the reason I bring it up, I think, was because Gary V was on like Logan Paul's podcast or something, and he was sort of like talking up his NFTs. Oh no, there was something else. It was some other like pump and dump scam,
yeah,
and and then Logan was there, was like, "Oh wow, man, that sounds interesting," knowing full well Gary V probably hit him up,
yeah, yeah,
told him, "Hey, buy a shit ton of this because I'm going to mention it on your podcast.
yeah,
A
yeah,
bunch of these crypto bros are going to buy it." price is going to
Yeah.
go up, and then you get rid of it. Man, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So
I
it's hard to know what is real. Any like for as corny as it is,
yeah.
it's hard to know what is actually like the whole Seth Green
Yeah.
thing. Like I have I presume that it's kind of bullshit, and he's
Yeah.
either doing a bit or he's doing it for
Yeah.
profit. But I just don't know anymore.
Yeah, I have such a mixed opinion about people like Gary Vee or these like, entrepreneur bro kind of YouTubers and like, motivational people in general, like, people whose product are like, "Hey, I can help you achieve your dreams or whatever." Like on the one hand, it feels so like shady to me at times because I'm like, are you really giving any kind of real advice? No, you're just talking loud into a camera of like, grind, man, get up 6 in the morning, you can do
Oh
it, no
god.
excuses, no whatever. And I'm like, that's so fucking dumb.
I
But there's
love that
all
shit where they're
you
like,
love,
get up at 4 in the morning. And
yeah,
it's like, if you get up at 4 in the morning and then go to bed at like 8 p.m.,
yeah,
you're up for what? What is that? That's 16 hours. Okay. If I get up at noon and go to bed at 4 a.m., like you're up the same amount of time. Getting up early
yeah,
doesn't do anything. Like it
yeah,
can, like I guess it can be good to like get on a good sleep schedule or like form good habits,
mhm,
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like show discipline, sure.
yeah.
But these idiots make it seem like I don't know if you're familiar with like the bodybuilding
Now I know your video
sphere.
about it that you did.
A very similar like thing to that is what they
Yeah,
call intermittent fasting,
yeah,
which is where like you get up and you don't eat anything until noon. Now
yeah,
I do, or like 2 p.m. until lunch.
yeah,
Now I do that just because I'm a piece of
yeah,
shit and I'm lazy and I want to make breakfast.
yeah,
But like all these influencers speak of it as if it's like it's the same thing as like waking up at 4. It's like
yeah.
it will change every, like it's not really that
No,
you're just eating less calories throughout the day. It's not like this like
no.
amazing scientific breakthrough. It's like a very just
Yeah.
it's
No,
so
and like I was saying before, it was like I think that's so stupid when I'm seeing that. I'm like, who the fuck, watches this? Who the fuck buys into this? But I also there's a part of me that understands that it's like, people want someone to look up to. They want someone to be like, I really aspire to be like this person. It's motivation for me. And it's like it's easy to say, right? Like you don't need this guy to, follow your dreams. You can do it on your own. Sure, but there is a large percentage of the population who it's like they kind of need a kick in the ass, to get where they want to go, and they need certain tools like this to push them forward. Maybe people like you and me don't need that, right? Maybe we can just motivate ourselves. But I do know a lot of people who it's like, yeah, watching a Gary Vee video or whatever, or even those god awful fucking, Sigma male grind set videos or whatever, maybe that is what gives them the kick in the pants to go do what they want to do. And it's like if that's what does it for you, man, I can't fault you for that. I got my own stuff that's stupid, that I like that motivates me. As long as it gets toxic when it gets into like this again, like selling people NFTs and stuff. Now I'm like, ugh. I understand too. It's like he's not stealing from anyone, right? It's like if idiots choose to give him money for his book or give him money for his NFT, that's their decision, right? You can't babysit everyone and be like, oh, don't do this. But um, yeah, I definitely have very mixed feelings when I see that. It's like I don't think it's necessarily the most unethical thing in the world. It just kind of feels gross to me.
I feel like you and I kind of suck because we have integrity. And like I feel like if I kind of wish sometimes I didn't have integrity or
Yeah.
like any sort of like conscience. So I could just like do this sort of shit and just like make a killing off of the backs of people. Like I would like pull like a Jordan Belfort sort of like pump and dump stock sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like con people out of like the only $2,000 they
Yeah.
have in their savings account to like, oh, you'll be rich one day. Like I almost wish I could not have a conscience so I could
Yeah.
do that and make like $1 million a year.
Yeah.
But it's like, ugh,
Well,
damn it.
I mean, there are people. I get comments sometimes on my videos being like, like you take Patreon money to just talk about The Sopranos. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't deserve any of that, whatever. And I'm like, you know
Really?
what? Fair point. You know, if like I don't ever think you know you don't have to support me if you don't choose to. I never demand anyone does that. I never ask for it. And if that's your opinion that I don't deserve that money, like, you know what? You're probably right. More power to you. But I like I definitely think that we're in the same way where it's like I'm not trying to push anyone to that. I'm never like, come on guys, subscribe to Patreon. Come on, go do that. Come on, go do that. I'll give you all this stuff. I'll do this, like, I'll give you all these benefits or whatever. I purposely tell people it's like, do it if you want to support me, but I'm really not going to give you too much for doing that. Just because I don't want to create this persona that like you have to pay to enjoy my content or whatever. I want everyone to just watch it if they like it. I know my content is stupid in its own way, right? Like, who gives a fuck about The Sopranos? Who gives a fuck about Breaking Bad? But I just like making it, and that's all I want to do is just make stuff like this. So, I agree with you. It's like I don't know if integrity is the right word for it or whatever, but I don't want to like scam people out of anything.
It's funny that you say that because I actually had someone, one of my patrons, one time message me, and they said something along the lines of like, "Yeah, I wanted to become your patron so I could like message you and talk to you." And I was like, "You could have just."
Yeah,
My Twitter DMs are open, my email's
yeah,
open, my Discord's open. I mean, like, I might forget. Like, I'm just an
yeah.
idiot, so I forget to text like my girlfriend back. What do you want for dinner? I'm like, okay, give me a second. Then I'll completely forget,
Yeah.
and then she'll get pissed. Like, what the hell? Um, but yeah, like it's not a thing where it's like, oh, I only respond to Patreon messages. Like, no, I'm like what? That seems odd to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
uh,
I, I I'm with you. Like, I can't respond to every single message I get. Like, there's times where it's like, oh, I can't respond to every single comment I get. I can't respond to every single DM or whatever. But it has nothing to do with money. Like, I don't want to create this idea that you have to pay me or I'll respond. Now, there are times like when I stream, and I know you stream too, where it's like there's always that option there for them to give you what is it called on YouTube? The donation.
oh, super
Uh,
chats.
Super chats, yeah. And like, yeah, those get attention because they pop up like in color versus, if 100 people are messaging a second, it's like I can't see every single comment coming through, and I will see the ones that come through on the chat. But again, I always try to tell people when I stream, like, you don't have to donate. Like, if you feel like it and you really want to, like, you just enjoy the content, go for it. But I don't know, creating this like a lot of YouTubers really try to create this like cult of personality where it's like, I am a god and you all should worship me, and the only way you're gonna get any kind of interactions if you pay me. I don't know that I don't think it's unethical because people, no one's holding a gun to your head. You choose to give that person money, like the simps who give money to like Twitch girls and stuff. It's like they're the fucking losers who chose to do that. So I don't blame the Twitch thoughts for raking in idiots' money, but it just for me it feels dirty, and I would never want to do that.
It's funny that you bring that up. I remember who is the okay boomer girl? Nico.
I don't know. I literally don't watch any Twitch girls.
But like like
Not out of any misogyny or anything. I just like I
oh
don't know. Again, it feels dirty.
her name was Nico Low. Remember the girl who like danced in the Bernie t-shirt, like, and she did the whatever you say boomer, and she had like the short skirt and the Bernie shirt. Oh yeah, it went viral like hardcore for a while. Well, her I don't know if she has OnlyFans, but she has like a TikToker. Oh no,
Oh yeah.
she has a Twitch.
Hmm.
And after that, of course, she blew up.
Yeah.
But then about like a couple weeks later or something, um, a lot of her followers found out. I think she like just said it casually on stream. It's like, oh yeah, me and my boyfriend are doing this,
Oh God.
and then like she lost. I think like I want to say like I don't think it was like half, but she
Yeah.
lost a lot of followers after that. And I'm like, guys, like if you want to simp for a cute girl, it's your money, you do you. But did you actually think that like something was going to happen there? Like, did you
Yeah.
actually think that Like maybe it was just that like her having a boyfriend has kind of ruined the illusion for you, and
Yeah.
sometimes, and some people like that, and like,
Yeah.
I don't, you do you, but it's like, did you really think that like, no, of all the guys
Yeah.
who were donating her $5 an hour on her stream, I'm gonna be the one who
Yeah.
eventually wins her over? And I'm just, guys, come on, take that money and do
Yeah.
something else with it, man. Damn.
And that's like beyond just like the ethical feeling of like I don't want to scam anyone or anything like that. I also don't ever want to be like in this position where like you feel like a dancing monkey. Like
Hmm.
like someone like that must feel like I have to act like the cute girl that these guys all want or they're not going to donate. I actively encourage people not to donate to me unless they really want to, because I want to have this persona where it's like, if you like me, you just like me for me. I'm not putting on an act. I'm not trying to get something from you. And so I don't ever have to worry about like, oh my God, am I going to do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing? And all my audience that I scammed into supporting me are going to fade away. You know, by having that kind of like, again, that non-cult of personality, that everyone in your community likes you for you. And I always tell my community that, where it's like I actively tell people not to subscribe unless they like my content. It's like I don't want you here unless you enjoy this and you're going to show up all the time, because what the fuck is the point?
I've gotten a couple comments where people have said stuff like I said something that like they didn't like or something, and they kind of like tried to pull like a Karen thing where like, like when like, like that, like, well, this establishment just lost a customer,
Yeah.
or like shit like that. I've gotten some people like say shit like, it's like, if you keep this up, I might just unsubscribe. And I'm like,
Okay.
like, I mean, if you want to, like, I don't, it just seemed weird to me that like the way they framed it was like, if you don't do this thing that I want you to do, I'm going to unsub, and like, and that's gonna be and I don't mean to say that as in like, oh well, there's plenty of others. Like, even if I only had like 50 subscribers and
Yeah.
someone said that, I would feel like, are you trying to coerce me into
Yeah.
not like to make you not unsub? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. That just sounds very weird to me.
I
But
think like the bigger you get, the more and more you encounter that, where it's just like random people think like you owe them something for them to watch your videos and stuff. Now I appreciate people watching my videos. I love it. But I don't owe you anything. And if you don't like something I did in a video, it's like, you know, I don't understand that mentality. Like if I watch a YouTube video and I don't like it or whatever, I'm just like, oh, I just click off and I'm never gonna watch another video from this person again. I don't feel the need to be like, I'm never gonna watch one of your videos again. Like, what kind of like attention seeking, pathetic behavior is that, where it's like you think that anyone gives a shit that you don't like my video, you don't like my content or whatever. Like, yeah, if I said something like really ideologically offensive to you or something, like maybe explain that. But again, it's never that. It's never like I scammed someone or did something unethical. It's just like, you don't like Better Call Saul, fuck you. Like just go away. Like why do you feel the need to announce it to everyone?
that's what I never got, because actually, I wouldn't say I used to be like that. Not never to that extent. More so, but never to like that extent.
Yeah.
Um, and again, we've kind of talked about this. For two people who are very, I think I would say, very passionate about media, film,
Yeah.
television, storytelling, however, and we're very into it. We have, like The Sopranos. You and I can like probably give a, we can like recite the entire series verbatim. If I ever like got mad on like line because someone said like The Sopranos is boring, or like I don't like it,
Yeah.
I feel like that's weird.
Hmm.
Like if someone says The Sopranos is boring, I just like, okay, like I
Yeah.
just go on with my day.
Yeah.
It's like, but like we kind of discussed it earlier, when you kind of tie your personality to certain like pieces of media or what have you, um especially if you don't have a lot of other stuff going on. Like you're tying yourself to a piece of media that you didn't even create. And so when someone insults it or like sort of like, you know, talks bad about it, even if it's like the creator of the media, you almost take it as a, it's not just like them saying like Breaking Bad sucks. Like, oh, I like that show. I don't agree, but whatever. You're taking it almost like as a personal insult because if you're saying The Sopranos is boring and I think The Sopranos is a part of my intrinsic personality, then you're saying like you're quasi saying that insulting me by calling me
Mhm.
boring or something.
Yeah. It's again, we talked about it. It's like uh, I think it really comes down to having self esteem and just knowing like you have having a sense of personal worth. Like I think again, a lot of people stake their identities on these things, and it's not just media, right? It's politics, it's the culture war that we're in. A lot of people stake their identities in there because they have nothing else going on, and it's like, oh, well, I can get mad at this thing, and I feel like I'm part of a cause or whatever, and that's actively encouraged by the establishment, right? Like all these people, all these companies or whatever, they want you to feel like, oh, you're a part of this team, and so you need to get angry at the other side here because it's better for us because it keeps you invested in what we're doing over here. That again, that goes for politics, that goes for culture, that goes for companies, that goes for media. It's all like that, and it's not something that I ever want to do either. A lot of content creators do that too. They're like, only watch me and don't, watch anyone else. Like some people ask like my opinion on other like content creators in the same spaces like you and me, right? Like people who make videos about the Sopranos or other, whatever. And I'm like, I think all their videos are great. I don't watch every one of them, but I more the more content creators we have in this space, the better. I feel like the more people making videos, the more alive it is. And I don't. I'm never like, only watch me. The other side sucks. Like, no, fuck that.
It's of all the things we were talking about the other day, we were talking about like reactionary channels like
Yeah,
they're all those channels. So like it's one like if you're like super into I think it's weird that like if someone insults the Marvel movies and you take that
yeah,
personally, I think it's weird. But at the very least, if it or like Star Wars or whatever, but at the very least, if it's something that you like are passionate about,
yeah,
like again, I don't think it's healthy, but at least it's something that like you view positively. Hey, this
yeah,
is something that I really love. Maybe a
yeah.
bit too much, but at least you like you love it or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that. What really bugs me and like what really disturbs me are the channels where it's all about like I've come across YouTube channels where their entire it's like a grown man making the channel, a grown adult, and their entire channel is based around like shitting on like Supergirl or like Batwoman or like those like the CW superhero
yeah,
shows or like Brie Larson, and people still have a hard on about Brie Larson.
yeah.
Like people still like every time like her name is mentioned, they're like, "Argh." And it's like, bro, you need to
Ugh.
like that to me is like so. Not only are you like way too invested in this shit,
Mm.
but it's all from coming from like a negative mindset. It's not
Yeah,
something like, hey, I love this so much that I'm like, I have an unhealthy relationship with it.
yeah,
Like, that's not good, but at least like you like something, at least you find
yeah,
passion in it. But if it's the opposite, where it's like, I hate this thing so much,
yeah,
and like it has become a part of my personality about how much I hate it,
yeah,
that to me is just like you need to like unironically touch grass.
yeah,
I don't mean to be dismissive, but like
yeah.
holy shit. That is very, very strange to me.
I really hate drama channels like that, channels that are dedicated to like again, I don't like any kind of thing dedicated to negativity. And this is a little bit off topic, but it kind of reminded me when you're talking about that is another type of content that I really people are free to enjoy what they want, but I really have a problem with is like mukbang channels and channels that are dedicated to like overeating.
Yeah.
Like obviously the big example is Nikado Avocado, and it just I jokingly told my subscribers like, hey, when I reach 50K, I'm gonna do a gabagool mukbang, like just eat a whole bunch of like fucking gabagool. But that was, I mean, mostly just as a joke. Not, I mean, I'll do it, but not for real. But yeah, those channels, I don't know, it's just so gross to see people like just really hurting themselves like that for the sake of attention. You know, like people are so desperate for attention, and I understand why. It's because on the online space, it's monetizable. You can make a lot of money from it like that guy does, but the amount of damage that you're doing to yourself, and it's so gross to me to see it. I can't understand why people enjoy that kind of stuff.
Well, it's funny that I actually saw I saw the channel Obese to Beast. John, he did a video. I didn't, and I don't follow Nikocado Avocado, but he did a video in response to it.
Hmm.
Nikocado Avocado had he had a heart attack on video, like while doing.
Oh
It was
god.
like one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. Like he's
Yeah.
not even an old guy. I think he's like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's like my age, if he's in his
Yeah.
30s. Um it was like he had a heart attack. Like it was like very disturbing. And that's the thing too. It's like mukbang. I think there can be fun. Like they like it's like, oh, it's like, hey, we're doing a
Yeah.
$100,000 subscriber. Like doing them
Yeah.
every once in a while, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But when it's like those like foodie or like eaty or whatever they're called channels
Yeah.
or feeder channels
Yeah.
where that's like the whole thing,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's just very odd. I mean, like if that's what you like to
Yeah.
watch, but like why do you like to watch it? I don't
Yeah.
get it, but
It has nothing. People obviously, this argument again, the culture where we're in gets tied into like, oh, body image, like, oh, you're just fat shaming or whatever. It's like, no, there's a difference between like, you don't have to be skinny or whatever. You don't have to be like, a model or whatever you want to be. But we shouldn't actively be encouraging people to, harm themselves. Again, you're free to do whatever you want. This is America, right? You're free to. There's a great Parks and Rec quote where it's like, if you want to balloon up to 300 pounds and die at the age of 50, you're free to do that. That's a beautiful thing you're allowed to do. But I don't think there's anything wrong with criticizing that and being like, hey, you know, I care about these people just on like a human level, where it's like I don't want to see people like destroy themselves and suffer long term consequences for their actions. I understand you're doing it for money; you're getting paid a lot of money. But again, I just think that having a sense of like self-respect to understand that money is not everything, like your health is all you're ever going to have, right? Like the time you cutting your time short for money is like, I don't know, I think that's just a fool's bargain.
funny enough, I actually was watching an interview with Billy Corgan, the lead singer songwriter of Smashing
Smashing
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins, yeah.
Um, and he was talking about how a lot of people in the business, because there isn't often a correlation, or like, I mean, there is like a relationship, but there isn't a direct correlation between one's fame or notoriety and their income. Like some of
Mhm.
the most like rich people in the world, like the wealthiest, you've never heard of.
Yeah,
And
of
a lot
course.
of like people of, like you've actually heard of, aren't actually, and they might have like 1 million, 2 million subs, but they
Yeah.
actually don't have that much money because
Yeah.
of, the deals they made and shit.
Yeah.
And what he said was that for a lot of people, like for me, I'm the income person. Like if it
Yeah.
was between like notoriety and fame,
Yeah.
like obviously like everyone kind of wants it to some extent.
Yeah.
But if it was between notoriety and fame and income, I'm income all the way. Like
Oh
give me a
yeah.
million bucks. Like no, no question. But other people, they're willing to do a lot for that 15 minutes of fame. They'll
Yeah.
debase themselves. They'll do a lot of weird shit. Um, and yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But it's funny that you brought up that the like the whole mukbang, the cacao avocado stuff, because I actually, one of the videos I recently made, the reject modernity one, it was
Yeah.
critiquing that whole trend.
Yeah.
It seems like that's another sphere where people don't have, there isn't like a measured response in between it. Either there are some people, the two, so like most people are in the middle, of
Yeah.
course. We're basically like, hey, being a reasonably healthy weight, working out, exercising is good. If you should be able to climb a flight of stairs and not be winded. That's good. You should be able to like go out and play sports and not be
Yeah.
like, ugh. Like, just be reasonably healthy.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter if you're like have a six pack or like,
Yeah.
whatever. Just it's good to be healthy. It's good to be in
Yeah.
shape generally. But then you have the idiots on both sides. You have like the psychos who are like, um, yeah, you can be, healthy at like 600 pounds and it's like,
No, you
I
can't.
know what you mean in the sense of like, just because someone is like 600 pounds doesn't mean they have like pressing health issues like right now. Sure. But that's like, but it's not, it's more of like, yeah, but there's like this huge warning sign that's probably going to turn into issues down the line,
Yeah.
or it at least like signals you probably don't have a very good diet if you're 600
Hmm.
pounds. Um, but then there's the other side where it's like these are the kind of people who, if we try to have a conversation about like, hey, we should really have a conversation about unrealistic body expectations. Guys, when it comes to building muscle, a lot of the guys I look up to on YouTube, the bodybuilder spheres, a lot of these guys are just on a shit tons of gear,
Yeah.
and they say it's like, oh, I'm natural, bro. Like, no, you're not. And they're like, you don't have an 8 pack. What's wrong with you? But then you have these people who were like, instead of acknowledging that,
Hmm.
they're kind of like, oh, you're saying working out's not cool. You're saying discipline's not good, and like you're not going to grind to get the body of your dreams. And it's like, shut up. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of doing the exact same thing where you're kind of like, we're trying to acknowledge reality of
Yeah.
like, hey, being 600 pounds isn't good, but also being 3% body fat isn't good. That's
Yeah.
probably a sign that you're probably resorting to very unhealthy means to get to
Yeah.
that, to get your dream body. Um, yeah, and most people, I think that is a very reasonable statement that 99% of people will agree with. But the only ones you hear about are the fucking idiots on both sides of the extremes who are either, man, it's like, yeah, man, I have to get down to 4% body fat, not realizing that like doing so will
Yeah.
it will fuck up your body irreparably. And then others who are like, yeah, you can be healthy at 600 pounds. It's like, no, stop it. Like, can we actually just like can we have us like a
Yeah.
generally normal middle ground here? Like, holy fuck.
I mean, health is so much more than just weight, and you know, I don't like talking about this too much because I also don't like this thing that like everyone online you meet is like a fucking expert when it comes to health. Like they all have fucking medical training, and they're like, yeah, no, no, like shut the fuck up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, and I don't know what I'm talking about either. I don't know the science behind any of this stuff, but to me, it's very reasonable to understand that like um you know there are problems like just because you're skinny, right, or whatever, you look good does not mean you're healthy. Health goes much deeper than just weight. There's so many things that goes into it. It also thrown into there's your mental health, right, which is a whole other thing that we are going through kind of a crisis right now in the world. I think a lot of young people, not just young people, but I think a lot of people across every age are really struggling with this mental health issue of like we talk about modernity, right, and it's like project modernity, go back to ape, that fucking meme. um there is some truth to this, right? I really do believe that, like, yeah, there is a lot of the comforts we have in this world kind of make us miserable. Um, we are a little bit meant to struggle and to work towards something. And as fun as some people find it to just sit at home and play video games all day, it's like there is this part of your brain that because you're not stimulating that, I think a lot of people suffer from depression. And again, I'm not a mental health expert. I don't want to make statements about like, oh, yeah, if you just go lift some weights, you're going to feel a lot better. No, a lot of these issues go much deeper than that. But I think one of the larger things we as a society are going to have to figure out moving forward is how do we reconcile our nature as technology just continues to improve all of our lives. Everywhere life is getting easier in terms of like you don't have to struggle for food, you don't have to struggle for whatever, but we're left with this question of like, well, what are we living our lives for? I feel like you and me are very lucky because we have this opportunity to build something and I pour my time and passion into this, and I get a sense of satisfaction. It's the same way a lot of people who work with their hands, like builders, get a real sense of satisfaction from their work. But I think a lot of people are not fortunate enough to have that opportunity. They're just like, I have a job that I sit all day and I don't do anything. I come home, I play video games, and nowhere in there is a sense that like I've accomplished anything um, that satisfies that part of my brain. And again, everyone's different. Everyone has a different definition of accomplishment, but I do think a lot of people are struggling with that, and I feel for it because to some extent I deal with it too.
Well, it's you made a good point in terms of like you and I are lucky in the sense of like, well, not only are we lucky to have been, because like it, it really annoys me like when other YouTubers like will say like suck their own dicks a bit, but like it's like, oh, it's my I got to this point because I put in hard work. It's like, look, you and I, like we put in the hard work on our channels, but we also recognize that we're incredibly lucky that like at some point in our when we were making YouTube videos, the YouTube algorithm gods decided to grace us
Yeah,
and really help us out, and that really and to really kind of like bump us up and get us there. And we should acknowledge that, and anyone else who's like watching, if you're like really into like if you really want to make YouTube videos, do it, but also recognize that it's not just a matter of, oh, well, if I don't get enough subscribers, that means I'm not good enough or I'm not doing a good job.
yeah,
Usually that is not the case. There are tons of YouTubers who have 1 million subscribers who fucking suck and make shit content. I have come across channels with like 800 subscribers whose video essays like and editing like fucking wipes the floor with mine.
yeah,
So obviously, like, yeah, work hard. You should always work hard. You should put your effort into it, but YouTube is far from like a meritocracy. So just always keep that in mind.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like what ends up happening with a lot of so like you kind of were talking about people who can't find their passion. I think you and I were lucky in the sense that like, even if we weren't doing YouTube, like
Yeah,
not only did we find our passion, but we found an outlet for our passion
yeah,
into something creative. But even at the end of the day, if you're someone who just likes going to the movies or just likes playing video games or like or reading a certain playing D&D, whatever, that's awesome. If you found something like that where you really get excited about it, that's a good thing. And regardless of like if you can make that into like a career,
yeah.
hell yeah, perfect. But even if not, like even if it's something you do on the weekends, like or at night when you're at home on your off time, that's a great thing.
Mhm.
What really bugs me about particularly like education, like middle school, high school, so even college to some extent, is that they really don't focus on helping people find out what they're passionate about. Like I've met people who have like been in their mid 20s, late
Mhm.
20s, even like their early 30s, who like I asked them like, so what's something you're passionate about? Like what's something that you would do for free? And they just don't know. And it's not because they don't have it's not because like they're boring people or because there's something missing in their lives. It's just that, you know, there are probably a lot of things, a lot of activities that I would love to do and like be really passionate about, but I just never had the opportunity to try it out. I haven't
Mhm.
discovered those passions yet.
Yeah,
And for a lot of people, again, I really blame this on our education system, even college, is that they don't really emphasize trying to find out, hey, what is something that really makes you excited? And
yeah,
how can we turn that into a career so you can like make money while doing it?
yeah.
It's more they just never kind of focus on that. It's just, hey, you have to learn this stuff, you do this stuff. And some people, luckily, along the way, they stumble
Mhm.
upon their passion and then run with it. But that leaves so many people who just are like kind of like you put it, they just kind of go to work and they come home and they don't really feel excited about anything,
Yeah.
which sucks.
I mean, I agree with you. I think education in general, how we do it, is very poor. Like, I understand why, because there's a million students to teach, and we can't all hold everyone's hand. We have to just kind of move forward. Um, I do think that, like, and again, this might be too much of a big topic to go in as we're literally wrapping up on our
Close
hour
enough. Yeah,
here.
next time.
But you know, there is a sense that like you have to somehow motivate yourself to do it. Like the thing about YouTube is, you know, you're right. A lot of it is luck, right? It's not, you know, the algorithm picks you up. If there's a million factors that could end your career, but there is also only one that's going to push it forward, which is you, right? Like no one's going to make you make the YouTube video. No one's going to hold your hand and do it. They just you have to do it no matter what. And I think we're both the same way. Not sucking our own dicks or anything, but we're both the same way of like if no one watched the videos, we would still probably make them. Maybe not as frequently or whatever, or maybe we might do a different medium, but we just enjoy the process of doing it, and no one forces it. No one puts a gun to our head and like you have to make YouTube videos. We just choose to do it, and luckily we found success. And you whatever it is you want to do in this life, you really have to motivate yourself to do it. Like if it's you want to be a writer, you know, you've got to just sit down and write. If you want to build something, you have to just sit down and do it. I know it can be hard. I've struggled with it a lot myself too. I know you probably have, where there's just days where it's like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this. But um, whatever it is, find that thing that you know you don't have to kick yourself in the butt to do, that you just love to do. You want to do it, um, and you know go after it. You might not get there, but I think the struggle is what's the most important thing. Just trying. The act of trying to do it is so much more satisfying to me than even the results. Like even you know the money or whatever. Just the act of like trying to create something and seeing it come to life in some way is the best thing about being a YouTuber for me.
And to kind of expand on that, it's hard too because again, like for like you and me, or for people who have found their passion, you're right. Like you have to, if you have a passion, good, but you have to kind of make it work, you know. Um, Especially if you want to kind of like have a career or something. There are ways to make whatever you're passionate about into a career.
Yeah.
You just might have to kind of like figure it out. You have to kind of be proactive and figure out how to make it work. Um, However, on the other hand, for people who don't have their passion, who don't really feel like what is something that I would do for free, like what is something I really get excited about, um, I think the trap a lot of people fall into is that they kind of wait for it to come to them as
Yeah.
opposed to finding it. So, like
Oh
for
yeah.
example, um, I got into boxing just because I was like, you know what, I'm getting bored at the gym, just
Yeah.
lifting and like doing cardio. Oh, why don't I try a boxing class? And I loved it. And now I do it on my own, and I really enjoy doing it. I would
Hmm.
do it like just for fitness. I just do it for
Yeah.
fun. I love it. Um, that's the issue. Like, you know, if go down to your local community center, it's like, hey, do they have a woodworking class? Do they have a carpentry class? Do they have a cooking class? Do they have whatever? Like, unfortunately, it is going to take some time.
Yeah.
Pick up a banjo, pick up a ukulele, pick up, you know, an instrument. Even if it ends up being that like I don't like this, well, at least you tried. You scratched something off your list. But what you're passionate about isn't just going to come to you. Like
No.
luckily in my case, I got a passion for movies,
Yeah.
and I was lucky that I kind of stumbled upon that where I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I actually really like this.
Yeah.
But I if that I was lucky in that
Yeah.
regard. Um, but yeah, sometimes depending on where you are, if you're kind of in a rut, if you're just kind of working and going home, you kind of have to just like every Saturday go down to
Yeah.
your community center and see like, hey, do they have classes or something? Try something new, try new activities. Obviously, and sometimes like you know classes can be somewhat expensive, so
Hmm.
you also have to factor that in. But you know, try drawing, try painting, try stuff like that, and eventually, even if you strike out 50 times, there is the chance you'll find that one thing where you're like, "Oh fuck, I love this. I really
Yeah.
like enjoy doing it," and then you can go from there.
You would
Um,
be surprised to, or people would be surprised, not you, you probably already know this, just how much of those, like, yeah, you strike something off your list, it didn't work out. You'd be surprised how many times those come back around in unexpected ways, like skills that you learned, right? I taught myself Photoshop way back in the day thinking, oh, maybe I'll be a photographer or like an editor or something like that. And I was like, no, this is not for me. I don't want to do this for a living, but just having those skills came in handy here to just make thumbnails or make images for the videos or whatever. And it just came back around. I know you did film school. They probably didn't, you know, set you on a career path to be a YouTuber or anything. they were teaching you skills in the filmmaking industry that you might never go into there. You might one day, but even if you didn't, a lot of the stuff they taught you is useful information for this completely different path, which is YouTube, which is only kind of tangentially related to that. So learn as much as you can. You will be surprised how much of that stuff will come back around. And I've never once in my life regretted learning something, even if I never use it again. Somehow I know it's going to come back in some way to help me out somewhere else in life. But I know we're getting kind of philosophical here towards the end. We've hit our hour. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with before we sign off here?
No, I mean, like that was sort of like what I kind of wanted to leave
Yeah.
off with is just kind of turn to like a motivational speech, but like just it's hard, but like try new things. If you're someone who doesn't like if you haven't found that thing you're excited about, um, it isn't just gonna stumble into your lap. Like you might love kickboxing, and like want to do it like for the rest of your life, but in order to figure that out, you have to go to a kickboxing class. um and again, it is hard. It's like starting an instrument. You're gonna suck balls at it. Like when I started boxing, I fucking sucked. I probably still suck now. I don't suck as much, but I probably still suck. I probably suck at guitar, not as much as I began,
Yeah.
but and like and getting into anything like learning the ropes is always a pain. But yeah, take a hobby that like you're kind of interested in and give it like maybe a month. Just give it a shot. If you're interested in drawing, try it for a month. If it doesn't click, move on to something else. But yeah, if you just wait for that passion to come in, and again, I think you as well, we're probably lucky in that regard, in the sense that like I kind of stumbled upon my love for movies and writing and storytelling. I didn't really seek it out.
Yeah.
But for people out there who don't have that thing, you may have to put in the work to try and find it, which can be daunting, but I think you'll end up a lot better off in the end.
Oh yeah. Listen to the wise words of Mac. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I know again it was a little bit of a break between these, but we are still going to continue to make them no matter what the cycle is. So stay tuned for the next episode of No One's a Critic coming soon.